What's up, my wrestling peeps? It's your boy E here with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Hope you guys are having an amazing midweek. Today is Wednesday, which my friends like to call, hump day. Don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. It just means that you're over that hill. Next, we're going down to the beloved Thursday and the always admirable Friday, which leads to Saturday and Sunday for a beautiful weekend. So, hey, always up for a good time. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you lined up today. We have our WWE NXT Spring Breakin review. We also have our AEW Dynamite preview. And we're also going to talk about, with the WWE draft right around the corner, we have our memorable WWE draft moments. This is I think this is going to be pretty big, pretty entertaining. Obviously, a lot of things that you should know as a wrestling fan that kind of shaped the draft, that kind of helped become the reason why they continue to do it, the reason why they continue to do the brand split, and just like an overall, just an insightful, analytical, and statistical reason why the WWE draft has been so successful in WWE. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to cap it all off. We're going to talk about our Wednesday night superstar spotlight. We're going to talk about Athena. Athena in Ring of Honor is a dominant champion. She has a 500-day Ring of Honor World Women's Championship reign. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Kind of like where she came from, how she became a WWE star, how she became a WWE NXT force to be reckoned with, and eventually wounding up in Ring of Honor and having the success she's having today. But before we move forward, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link. We get a number of questions that come in during the show from viewers like you. So to ensure that your question gets read on air all over the world, I ask you to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions on top so we can talk about it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want to talk about in this wrestling podcast. Tell me certain opinions. We love opinions here. And we love, of course, our wrestling fandom subjectives always. And this also, leave a positive review, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we love peace, love, and positivity. So don't be afraid to hit that tips to donations link at the GSMC podcast.net, so you can talk to me. Talk to this good looking guy right here. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not that good looking. Not that good looking. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. We have our WWE NXT review. Obviously, kind of the first time I've kind of gotten this whole aspect of WWE NXT kind of going through like a week 1, week 2. Much I kind of had it compared to WrestleMania night 1 and night 2. Um Overall, it was a really, really good weekly show. I know it's not necessarily called a pay-per-view or a main event. We can call it a weekly event. The WWE NXT put on Spring Break in night 1, and it was pretty good. Absolutely pretty good. The moment it began, you kind of saw Nick Aldis, Adam Pearce, and General Manager Ava through the WWE NXT, stating that WWE NXT will never be the same after the draft via general manager Ava, which is actually pretty cool. That has like a lot of people just like excited, kind of get people ready for this NXT brand that's gonna sooner or later end up on the CW. Kind of being that you have Raw, which is going to Netflix. You have SmackDown, it's gonna stay on Fox, and now you have WWE NXT going to the CW, which is obviously big for the brand, number one, big for the organization, WWE as a whole, number two, and number three, just really, really awesome for these wrestlers who have put in so much time and effort to kind of be broadcasted on channels other than the USA Network, other than the Peacock, other than any WWE Network streaming services. And that's exciting. That's exciting. So I really hope that what they're doing right here is good for the company, mostly good for the talent, because the talent overall, yeah, you can have crafty storylines. Absolutely. You can have great WWE creative or just wrestling in general. You can have great creative writers, but you can't do crap without willing superstars, you know, athletic superstars that are willing to do anything to kind of put your brand over, that that Mount Everest that you kind of have to go over to become a successful company in the pro wrestling industry. So yeah, NXT kind of, we look forward to good things. First, we're going to talk about our the NXT Women's World Championship match between Lyra Valkyrie and Tatum Paxley and the defending champion Roxanne Perez. It was a pretty good match. It was a very, very good match. I really liked it how Tatum Paxley kind of started off with that kind of like a demonic, kind of evil demon kind of crawling toward Lyra Valkyrie, and Valkyrie was like, "Hey, like what, like what's going on here? Like what the heck?" It kind of reminded me like kind of like a Wyatt family kind of thing. It wouldn't surprise me with the newborn Wyatt family coming out with Bo Dallas. Wouldn't surprise me. Maybe she's that. Maybe she becomes one of the members. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Obviously, she has the talent. She has the in-ring capabilities to put on a decent match, and also she has that storyline. Potential where she can perhaps be like that dark side of the new Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, Wyatt family rendition, perhaps. So I thought, all in all, I thought it was pretty good. I thought all three girls did a phenomenal job keeping the match mostly entertained. It was a great match. You had a bunch of near falls here and there, and you had the fans on their toes on the edge of their seats, counting 1, 2, and then she can't finish it. She can't finish it, and that kept going on and on and on, leading to just building up this foreshadowing to an amazing finish, building up and building up and building up. Kind of like if you can't relate to it in terms of sports, kind of like imagine you're reading a really good book. You're reading a really good book, chapter after chapter after chapter, to the point where you're reading, and you can't put it down. That's kind of what WWE wants to accomplish in terms of their superstars and in terms of the storylines that they're trying to portray and trying to kind of have a successful business or wrestling promotion, which I think WWE NXT is doing an absolute fantastic job. The sky's the limit for them, and this wrestling showdown honestly proved to me that WWE NXT can very much keep up with the ratings such as Raw or WWE SmackDown. So, good for the girls. Great for the girls. So it turned out Roxanne Perez, like I kind of thought about it. Well, like I kind of mentioned last podcast, when a wrestling promotion does a triple threat match, you kind of have that, that opportunity for the champion on the heel side to kind of find a way to steal the victory. And she very much did. Tatum Paxley had Lyra Valkyrie rolled up, ready for the 3 count. Even the referee was like 1, 2, and then he was like, "Oh my god!" And then she came in and covered Tatum Paxley, and Roxanne Perez got that victory. It was like 1, 2, 3. It was kind of crazy because they went from like a victory pin to another victory pin, and then you're like, "Whoa!" Like as a fan, I know I was like, how did this happen? How did how did Tatum Paxley lose this match? But overall, Roxanne Perez was able to show the reason why she is the WWE NXT World Women's Champion and why I feel like she continues to just impress and be successful on NXT. I don't think she should leave. She should leave at all. At all. So I thought that was pretty cool. Next, you have the Tony D'Angelo family against the No Quarter Catch crew. You had ultimately you saw the No Quarter Catch crew mostly had this match won. It was crazy. You kind of had those miscues from the guys, obviously, the Heritage Cup champions. And then you had the Tony D'Angelo family kind of like not playing possum. I don't want to say playing possum because a possum is never dead until it's scraped off the road. And that's kind of what what the D'Angelo family kind of did in sense of this match is that they just kind of like once again me making metaphors and comparisons. Kind of imagine boxing. Boxing. Sometimes you take the round one, you might get beaten, you might lose the points, but ultimately you take the round one, you're just sizing your opponent. You're finding out what their capabilities are, their stamina, their endurance, any like sort of special jabs or moves or like overhook punches. But ultimately, it's working in your favor. And I think throughout this match, the D'Angelo family was kind of doing that. And ultimately, at the end, they defeated a no quarter catch crew. No surprise. And they pointed to them and they were like, "Hey, we want our payment. We want our payment. We were helping you guys out. I don't want to see you guys, sleeping with the fishes." Like, like kind of like, that Italian, stuff like that. So ultimately, I think that they're going to kind of head toward a Heritage Cup championship between the top dog, the Don, Tony D'Angelo, and probably one of the guys from the No Quarter Catch crew. I can't put my thumb on it. With the whole Drew Gulak thing happening with Ronda Rousey and how he might be, excommunicated from the WWE due to a backstage incident, and in terms of sexual harassment, in terms of Ronda Rousey and Drew Gulak. Although Drew Gulak says it was a misunderstanding, but we'll just wait till that all figures out to kind of unpack that. So honestly, I want to see the D'Angelo family continue to have success in the WWE, kind of have that WWE NXT, kind of like that appeal, kind of like that entertainment that just brings you week after week after week, kind of like a McMahon Helmsley era. Like you had the family, you kind of had Triple H, Stephanie, and essentially DX, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, X Pac were kind of like the family, and taking on competitor after competitor. But ultimately, I think that I think a reason why the D'Angelo family has an edge over this DX kind of story plot that I'm using as a metaphor. I just feel like because they win their matches, they're hard, they're hard hitting, they're hard headed. It's like a smash mouth wrestling match. And honestly, that's the reason why I think the Don Tony D'Angelo deserves another title run in WWE NXT. So, I think that's pretty cool. Next, we have the Baron Corbin basically says that he's not affirming the rumors. The rumors are that Baron Corbin is going to be drafted to wrestle to a WWE Raw or WWE SmackDown, and he said, he doesn't really want to go anywhere. And honestly, I don't want to see him go anywhere. He's established so much in WWE NXT to the point where I really would be disgusted if he made it to the WWE SmackDown or Raw roster because he was there before. He was there before, and WWE creative couldn't do crap with this character. They couldn't do crap with the storyline. They couldn't do anything with the development of his talent, of his character, of his capabilities. Ultimately, leading Baron Corbin to be like, you know what, dude? Nah, I'm I'm stepping. I like NXT. I like NXT. Back then, NXT was run by who should I think of? Triple H, Paul Levesque. Baron Corbin went down to Paul Levesque and be like, look, like your father-in-law, he's not doing crap with me. He has this happy Corbin thing. He has this me poor, begging for money. He had me losing my money in the bank, redemption, my cash in. And ultimately, you kind of Baron Corbin is a phenomenal athlete. He's had success outside the WWE. He's had success. He's a Golden Gloves boxer. He's one. This guy could actually fight. He's a dynamo in the ring. And I think the reason why Baron Corbin didn't really establish success was because it was based on a rumor that him and Vince McMahon kind of had a falling out based on the creative orders from the chief content officers before Triple H took over, and ultimately they buried him. They buried Baron Corbin, and he wasn't able to kind of get back up to the Gestapo ever again. So I want Baron Corbin to stay on NXT. He doesn't belong anywhere else. All right. Next, we have Joyce Jane challenging Thea Hale to a match at week 2 of WWE NXT Spring Breakin. I thought that was pretty cool because both of these women superstars, it's been building up. It's been building up to something that just needs to explode. It needs to explode. And when it explodes, it entertains everyone. It entertains me. It entertains me, entertains you, and it really entertains the superstars going in there, just giving it all they got, trying to beat the hell out of each other. And you see these two NXT women talents, and they're of course able to put on an amazing match. Thea Hale is right there. She's right there. It wouldn't surprise me within. I can guarantee you from a year from now that probably Thea is going to be holding one of the WWE NXT Women's Championship or the new North American Women's Championship. I guarantee it. Absolutely. She's a phenomenal talent. So I think, obviously great things coming for her. Next, we kind of have Ava, the general manager of WWE NXT, announcing for the first time ever it's going to be a women's underground match between Natalia and Lola Vice. Natalia ultimately she was followed by Petrovich, and also you kind of have it was like so shocking. So shocking that Lola Vice, she didn't have somebody standing in her corner, nobody, no talent spotter, no trainer. And Ava asked, she's like, okay, who's gonna be your trainer? Then all of a sudden, bam, the Queen of Spades comes out. You see Shayna Baszler come out, which kind of makes me believe that Shayna Baszler is ultimately coming back to WWE NXT, which is good for Baszler. I like that for her. Like once again, a talent that made it up to the main card, Raw and SmackDown, and they couldn't really do much with her talent. So she's gonna come back to NXT, the first ever WWE NXT star to hold the Women's World Championship twice. Ultimately, you kind of have to think and common sense that Shayna Baszler belongs in NXT once again. So pretty cool with that. Next we have Soruka against Blair Davenport in the beach brawl. It kind of honestly, but this could be totally me. I'm a violent, I'm not take that back. I'm not a violent guy. I love the Attitude Era. So, I kind of like watching violent wrestling, especially how much they kind of took to kind of build up toward this match. You had Blair Davenport like interfering in Lola Vice's match with Sol Ruca, costing her a chance at like potentially a WWE NXT Women's World Championship contendership. But I don't know. It just felt like for two superstars that, and the announcer kept saying it. These women hate each other. These women hate each other. I was like, dude, for two women to hate each other, or just two individuals whatsoever, you would expect like so much violence, more weapons. But once again, I know WWE is totally PG. Maybe that could be a possibility of why we didn't really get so many table cash throughs or so many chair shots or something like that. Or they were wrestling with surfboards. They were like riding on their surfboards. Surfboards, like it's cool and all. Absolutely. It's awesome. But this is this I thought this was a brawl. I thought this was a brawl. I thought this was you walk into a bar brawl and you walk in there, and instead of people like drinking beers and throwing bottles at each other, they're sipping tea and throwing crumpets at each other. Like, "Hi, hey, he." I'm just kidding. I'm like, not trying to, not trying to denounce the whole teas and crumpets and stuff like that. That's a cultural thing. I respect that. But anyways, I thought it could have been better. I really thought it could have been better. When they went through that picnic table, I was like, all right, this is gonna get started. This is gonna get started. They went through the table, and after that, the match ended. And I was like a build up. Imagine being left on that cliffhanger. Imagine being left on a cliffhanger, just knowing that cliffhanger was the actual cliff. It was just like one of those. It's like I don't know. I kind of but that's the Attitude Era in me. I could be wrong. Absolutely could be wrong. So yeah. And they kind of finish it all off here at WWE NXT Spring Break in night one. We had Trick Williams do the impossible, defeat the Czar, Ilya Dragunov. It was about time Trick Williams whoop that trick, whoop that trick, whoop that. Yeah, if anybody at home's watching right now, maybe chat with me. Whoop that trick, whoop that trick. It was, I don't know, it was great. It was great for Trick Williams to kind of finally accomplish something that he hasn't accomplished in NXT, especially against someone that was just so dominant. Ilya was amazing. He was an amazing wrestler. And throughout the evening, you kind of had WWE superstars from Raw and SmackDown. You saw Pete Dunne, Tyler Bates, Johnny Gargano, kind of just like comment toward, and then they showed a post on X from the LA Knight, Bobby Lashley, Cody Rhodes, basically hyping up this match. And that honestly, I thought they did a pretty good job when it came to that. Honestly, Trick Williams deserves the belt. He's the new future of NXT. And congratulations, Trick Williams. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And something that, sportsmanship, sportsmanship goes a long way. I know a lot of people might be like, you know what, like if I lose my championship, like I would just deck the guy in the face. But Ilya Dragunov, like he was sincerely just with so much passion. So much passion. You just lost your belt. You look into the face of the guy who beat you, grab him, give him a little smooch on the smooch on the cheek, and just embraced him because he knows. He knows that Trick Williams is going to take this brand to the next level. And also, he kind of thinks about it. He's like, my era is done. One, I hope Trick does well on NXT because I love NXT. Me, I love NXT, but I'm also speaking on behalf of Ilya Dragunov. And he also looks at, his future toward Raw and SmackDown. And it's kind of grim to say, and I hope it doesn't happen to Ilya, but very few superstars, and I mean very few superstars, has made it from the NXT roster and made success in a long-term quality storyline or booking with Raw or SmackDown. That's just in the past. Perhaps the Paul Levesque era is going to promise something different. Hopefully it does. But you can just kind of sense like that emotion. Like he knew his time in NXT was up. He knew his time as NXT was up. Usually superstars are so excited to go to Raw or SmackDown for the draft. But then you kind of think back and you think back on the history and you're like, man, I had so much fun here. So much success. Getting to know the guys, personnel, referees, announcers, the fans. And now it's gone. Now you move on to Raw, SmackDown, more of like a cutthroat kind of industry entertainment. And you kind of hope the best. You kind of hope for the best with Ilya and hope that he's not one of those superstars like Cameron Grimes, Keith Lee, Aleister Black, basically everybody on 205 Live, Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, who, they lost their minutes of fame and all of a sudden they went down and quite frankly haven't really made it back up to the Gestapo. So, we wish the best for Ilya Dragunov in the upcoming WWE draft. Well, next, don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about our AEW Dynamite preview. AEW Dynasty had they had an amazing matches. They kind of had new champions crowned, champions retained, but ultimately left us with a bunch of questions to interpret. So, hey, don't go anywhere.